Hey guys, this is the Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Seabed. So, let's jump right back in. Don't you ever get tired of it? I do. Everyone does. Kozue placed her elbows on the desk and rested her chin on her hands. Can't I just become like those cats that always sleep on the fence? Maybe even the cat wondered why we spend all of our time working with barely any rest. Anyway, people are different from napping felines. We can't just do whatever we want. Sure, we're not cats, but still, why can't we live the way we want? People have their positions in society. We are social animals, and have our roles to fulfill in our communities. My legs started hurting in my current position, so I recrossed them under the table. And the community returns the favor. Schools provide you with education, while families provide you with your livelihood, until that role is taken over by your workplace, of course. And it is all structured in a way to make that function as effective as possible, which forces people to do the same thing, the thing that they are the best at, over and over again. Will it get better once I grow up? What do you mean exactly? I'm asking if my life will become any less boring. I couldn't help but smile at Kozue's childish question. She seemed to consider an easy and unchanging life boring. At the same time, though, it could be considered the embodiment of peace, something that many people held in high regard. Why would it? Well, compared to school, there are all sorts of jobs in the world, and you are free to choose whatever you like. I see. You're right that the world is rife with various different occupations to choose from. At school, you only have the student council, while adult society has countless companies, divisions, positions, industries, occupations, and all sorts of other things that divide and sequester the whole. Kozue listened to me with somewhat dim eyes. However, this level of extreme specialization severely narrows the scope of your job compared to what you're used to at school, which is why people tend to be likened to cogs in a machine. Why does it have to be so specialized? I don't know. Maybe because everyone is competing in the same field. As our goals keep getting bigger and bigger and our population increases, everyone has to be an expert at their respective roles. A cog, said Kozue, her expression clouding over. If you look at the big picture, we're like an awesome giant robot, I said. How does everyone let off steam in a world like that? Well, that depends on the person. It's something you'll gradually get to learn at home, at school, or even during your club activities. Is that how it works? Most of the time, at least. Kozue let out a small sigh. I suddenly don't feel like going to school tomorrow. I couldn't help but make a sour expression myself. Still, maybe I'll pay a bit more attention from now on. I'm glad to hear that. With that subject covered, Kozue shifted her gaze back to her book. I returned to my book as well. It contained several records about past treatments, which made me hope I could find one that resembled Sachiko's situation. How do you work exactly? Kozue addressed me around the same time I finished making a note of every case worth looking into. Me? Taken by slight surprise, I reacted with a foolish question. There was no one else in the room, so Kozue just continued staring at me, saying nothing. I made an embarrassed smile. I'm not sure how you imagine it, but psychologists aren't like other doctors. We don't mess with your body too much. At best, we recommend some medicine. What kind of patients come to you? Most of the people that visit my place are either old men that use dementia as an excuse to talk about their grandchildren, or housewives who come to complain about their husbands and daily chores. Sounds like a pain, but even I could hear them out. It doesn't take a genius to listen. What do you do when they finish talking, then? Well, first I have to listen carefully and find out the exact cause of what's weighing on their mind. Then I think about how to help them overcome it. Sounds simple enough. Well, it might not be as easy as you think. You can't see inside a person's mind after all. How is it not easy? It's different from simply opening someone's mouth and inspecting the condition of their tonsils, or listening for abnormalities in the beating of their heart. Everyone's mind is unique and different from mine, so you can neither qualify or quantify anything, nor tell good from bad with exact precision. Then what do you do? I'm having a hard time putting it into words. However, Kozue fell completely silent, obviously waiting for an answer. I took a breath and considered how I could convey at least the gist of it to her. It might be easier to understand if you imagine the mind as a large swath of water. Its surface could be ravaged by storms, while the deeper parts remain undisturbed. However, there are times when the sea appears calm enough from the beach, but when you step into the water, you end up getting swept away by the underwater currents. People's emotions work in a similar way. To find out what's really going on, you have to delve deep. Just looking at the surface or even the mid-depth won't yield a definite answer. You have to reach the bottom. So you dive as deep as you can and shine light on the darkness you find there. And it's only then that you start seeing the genuine thoughts of that person. They are all like deep-sea fish. Living in the depths no one knows about, they evolve in their own unique and unconstrained way. And sometimes, when you shine the light on them, you realize that they are somehow distorted or missing something. Your job is to convey that to the person and help them fix it. After a few moments of silence, Kozue made a small nod. I'm not sure I understood it. Can't exactly blame you. Guess it's not that easy after all. Yup. Hey, have you ever ridden a train until sundown? Not yet. And are you sure you're still sane? I have other ways to relax. You will recall how I said that each person is unique. I get enough chances of pace as it is. Changes of pace as it is. I wish I could be like that too. As the hour grew closer to lunchtime, Kozue began stuffing her notebooks into her backpack. Going home? She slung the full backpack over her shoulder. Yes. I see. In that case, can I have one last question? Kozue passed by my chair but turned around as I addressed her. What? I'm looking for a picture book with birds. Do you know where they keep them? No. And with that, Kozue trotted out of the library. Well then, Kozue. Rude as ever. The library was dead silent without Kozue and Lily. The short heels of my red shoes clicked against the floor, their sound reverberating across the walls and the high ceiling. For fun, I tried making them click at calculated intervals, producing a sound akin to the ticking of a clock. On a second-floor shelf near the window, I finally found a wild bird encyclopedia. I picked it up, brushed off the dust, and flipped through a few pages. I saw something blue and returned to that page. There was a picture of the blue bird I saw yesterday on the windowsill. I left the library sometime after noon. As I passed the row of olive trees and reached the inner yard, I heard voices from the rough direction of the camphor tree. I followed the sound to see Nanai talking to a girl I didn't know. The girl sat on a plastic sheet surrounded by a bunch of toys. As she nodded, Nanai patted her on the head, which made her close her eyes in response. I'll be back with some snacks. And with that, Nanai disappeared into the mansion through a side entrance. Left alone, the girl resumed playing with her toys. With her short hair fastened into a side tail, she reminded me of Takako in her childhood. I moved to her side, so not to startle her. The girl was trying to give her doll some milk. However, unable to properly press the tip of the bottle into the doll's mouth, she kept brushing it against its face. I looked at her profile. Big eyes, angled, energetic-looking eyebrows. She shared some features with Takako, but she definitely wasn't her. "Hello," I addressed her as I reached the camphor tree. "Aw, she does look like Takako!" The girl turned toward me. However, her eyes were not fixed on me, but the doll I was holding. I made the doll's hand move as though it was knocking on the door. "Who is it?" "I am Hibiki. I work nearby as a doctor. What about you?" "I am Mia. She is Lily." She showed me the baby doll she was holding. "You two come here alone?" She shook her head. "I come here with my brother, but he went off to the mountains, leaving me to take care of everything." "I see. Must be tough on you." "It is." The girl was staring at the doll in my hands. I made it walk and bow in front of her. "It's dirty." I made an embarrassed smile. It had obvious tear marks, and its colors had mostly faded. "Well, it's a pretty old doll after all. It might not look like much now, but he's actually our clinic's mascot." I moved my doll's hand to take the milk bottle from the girl, and by shifting its angle a little, pushed it into the mouth of her doll. As I did that, the liquid inside the bottle decreased. "Thank you." This time, the girl looked at me. "You're welcome." "Miss Doctor, would you accept an invitation for dinner as a token of our gratitude?" "I like that idea." The girl began preparing dinner, placed toy plates and food on a board. "It looks delicious. I see you've prepared a melon pie and some vegetable soup, but what's this?" "Potato salad." The door of the side entrance opened. "Oh?" Nanai closed the door behind her with one leg. She was carrying a tray full of, madeleines, and had an extra madeleine in her mouth. "Good evening." "Oh, whoops, good evening." I greeted her with my doll. Nanai came closer to us and saw the food the girl had prepared. "Oh, that smells nice. You want some too, Nanai?" "Of course. I even brought dessert. Let's all have some later." Aww. Narasaki's so good with kids. Eventually, Mia's brother returned to come pick her up. "You sure you got all your toys with you?" Mia spent a few moments rummaging through her bag, and then stuck her hands in her pockets and checked something in there as well. "Yes." "Oh! Ouch! What's up with running off and leaving your little sister all on her own?" Further away, it seemed like Nanai's iron fist of punishment had landed on the boy's head. He staggered backwards, clutching his head with one of his hands. "Miss Narasaki?" I felt someone tug on my sleeve. Glancing down, I saw Mia looking up at me. I leaned down and patted her on the head. "Goodbye. Let's play again some other time." Oh, wait, whoops. That was the little girl, sorry. Be careful on your way back, okay? Mia smiled, then ran off with her brother and I. Things ended well this time around, but what do you think would have happened if she tried following you and got lost in the mountains? Someone has to look after her. Use your head. You're her brother. I thought you'd look after her if I left her here. Mia's brother kept making excuses in a small voice while still clutching his head. Ooh, move your hand. I'm gonna give you another one. Nanai. Mia tugged on Nanai's sleeve with a worried expression. Nanai let out a sigh and lowered her fist. Well, whatever. Make sure to be home by the time it gets dark. I'm sorry. The boy lowered his head and took Mia's hand and her bag and walked off. I told everything that happened to your parents, so better be ready when you get home. The boy startled for a moment, but then continued walking. As I watched the siblings walk off in the afternoon glow, Nanai turned to me and made an embarrassed smile. I ended up causing you trouble. Nah, it's been a while since I could return to my inner child. It was fun. Really? Well, then I'm glad to hear that. Contrary to her words, her expression still remained somewhat sour. You sure you didn't go overboard with the boy? Don't worry, I know all the kids and the parents around here. I can't let them misbehave in front of my eyes. What if he starts hating you for beating him and such? I'm sure he'll understand, and if he starts hating me, I'll do my best to make him change his mind. You don't want to upset them, but you can't let them do as they please either. And that's the hard part about being an adult. Nanai shook her head. Oh my goodness. Both of them, so good with kids. I found a round resting room at the end of the corridor on the second floor. It had a small table and 2 chairs. There was also a shelf with a collection of old books. The curving wall facing the inner yard was covered in windows. The camphor tree stood right in front of the windows, its branches partially blocking the light. I sat down in one of the chairs and gazed outside. I thought about what I should do next. The sun rays filtering through the leaves gave the chairs and the table in the room a pleasant warmth. I felt somewhat drowsy looking at that greenery swaying in the wind. Oh, another memory of school! The bell signaled the end of lunchtime. Some of the boys dashed out of the classroom to secure themselves a place to play on the athletics field. The sound of shuffling footsteps and various voices filled the area around me. Managing to finish my pack of milk before the bell stopped ringing, I tore off the part holding it together and folded it into a neat rectangle. Once I was finished, I put it into the green case next to the podium. The cases for other tableware seemed to have already been cleaned up. I picked up the green case and left the classroom, intending to carry it to the storage room. I lowered the case, placing it next to a whole bunch of similarly green cases from other classes. As I left the dark storage room and glanced out the window, I spotted several students already playing ball on the athletics field. The normally popular basketball court seemed to have been taken over by an older class. I turned away and continued to the backyard. The backyard between the fourth wing and a big concrete wall is about as poorly lit as the storage room, but at least it allowed me to distance myself from the noise of the other students. However, as I turned the corner, beyond the fourth wing, I saw someone. The silhouette was crouching over a patch of grass, apparently watering it. What are you doing? Ah, Sachi! Takako turned around, her twin tails dancing in the wind. I sat down next to her, in my usual spot on the emergency stairs. I came to water your birthday present! Is that so? It's always damp here, so I don't think it needs much watering. You're never in your classroom during lunch. Do you always come here? Yes. I opened my paperback and took out the bookmark. Takako sat down next to me and I spent a few moments staring at the page I was reading, but soon got tired of it and turned away. Oh my god, Takako, what are you doing? She then picked up a sketchbook that was lying on the stairs and began drawing something with a brown pencil. The scribbling of the pencil was the only sound in the backyard for a while. What are you drawing? Your present! You told me I couldn't pluck it, so I figured I'd draw it. I see. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!